The sun is just beginning to set, casting a soft golden glow over the quiet neighborhood. An elderly man, wearing a worn-out jacket and comfortable shoes, walks down the familiar street. His pace is slow but steady. Every step he takes is part of his daily routine. He's lived here for years, and the path he's walking feels like home. The gentle breeze rustles the leaves of the trees overhead, and everything feels peaceful. He pauses for a moment to adjust his glasses, glancing at a nearby shop where the lights flicker, signaling that it's almost time to close. He smiles to himself, remembering when he used to visit more often. But today he's just out for a walk, enjoying the evening air. He has no idea that today will be different. No idea that this peaceful moment will soon be interrupted. As he continues his walk, he notices a few people passing by, but nothing out of the ordinary catches his eye. It's just another day, or so he thinks. He doesn't know that he's about to cross paths with trouble. In a dimly lit alley a few blocks away, a gang of 3 men huddles together, speaking in low voices. They've been watching the elderly man for weeks now, and they believe he's an easy target. They've studied his routine and know he walks this way every evening. The leader, a tall man with a scar on his cheek, grins as he looks at his companions. "We grab him quick, take what we need, and we're gone," he says with confidence. "He won't even put up a fight." The other 2 men nod, eager to get the job done. One of them is a little younger, a bit nervous but willing to follow the plan. The other is more experienced, a little rougher around the edges. They all wear jackets and baseball caps, blending in with the shadows. The leader pulls out a small knife, showing it to the others. "Let's make this quick and easy. We don't want any trouble." They all agree, feeling sure that this will be a simple robbery. They start moving toward the street where the elderly man is walking, their footsteps quiet but quick. They can see him up ahead, walking alone, oblivious to what's about to happen. The gang members exchange looks, their excitement building as they approach their target. They think it'll be a fast job, just another easy score. But they're wrong. The elderly man continues walking, his steps steady, though a little slower now. His mind drifts as he enjoys the peaceful evening, unaware of the danger closing in on him. He doesn't hear the soft footsteps behind him, nor does he notice the 3 figures approaching from the shadows. Without warning, one of the men steps forward, blocking his path. The elderly man stops, surprised. The man towers over him, grinning. "Give me your wallet," he demands in a rough voice. The elderly man stares up at him, confusion written across his face. He tries to step back, but another gang member quickly moves to his side, grabbing his arm tightly. "We don't have time for games, old man," the second robber says, his grip tightening. The elderly man tries to pull away, but his strength is no match for theirs. "Just hand it over," the leader urges, taking a step closer. The elderly man's heart races now. His hand shakes as he reaches for his pocket, his mind still trying to process the situation. He can't believe this is happening. Why him? His fingers brush against the wallet, but before he can pull it out, he stumbles backward. The man holding his arm shoves him roughly, and the elderly man falls to the ground with a heavy thud. His breath catches in his throat, his head spinning from the sudden impact. The leader sneers. "You're not even going to fight back?" He pulls a knife from his pocket, the blade glinting in the fading light. The elderly man can only stare up in fear, helpless on the cold concrete. The gang moves in closer, and it feels like there's no way out. They have him cornered and no one is around to help. It seems like the worst has happened. But then something shifts in the air. Something unexpected. Just as the gang tightens their grip on the elderly man, a strange calm washes over the scene. From the corner of his eye, the leader notices a figure approaching. At first, he thinks it's just another passerby. But then he realizes that this person is walking straight toward them, unbothered, unhurried. The man is tall, dressed in a simple black jacket and dark jeans. His posture is straight, yet relaxed, and there's a calmness in his stride that doesn't match the tension of the moment. The gang stops for a moment, unsure of what to make of him. He doesn't look like someone they need to worry about, yet there's something about his presence that feels different. As he steps closer, the leader can feel his pulse quicken. Something about this man's quiet confidence doesn't sit right with him. The stranger doesn't make any threatening moves, doesn't raise his voice, He simply walks forward with purpose, eyes fixed on the gang, as though he's seen this all before. Without saying a word, the man, Keanu Reeves, stops just a few feet away from the gang. His expression is neutral, his eyes calm, but there's an intensity in them that the robbers can't ignore. The elderly man looks up in confusion, wondering who this person is and why they've suddenly appeared. The leader hesitates, glancing at his companions. Something about this encounter feels off. The gang isn't sure what to do. They've never had a situation like this before. Someone standing between them and their target, not out of fear, but with absolute certainty. Keanu doesn't flinch. He just stands there waiting. And that's when the gang realizes, this man isn't backing down. The air between the gang and Keanu is thick with tension. The leader of the robbers glares at him, trying to read his next move, but Keanu doesn't seem to be in any hurry. He stands there quietly, his eyes focused, never looking away. There's no arrogance, no cockiness, just a calm confidence that unnerves the gang. The younger member of the gang shifts uncomfortably, glancing from Keanu to the elderly man. He's starting to feel uneasy, sensing that this isn't going to be as easy as they thought. The leader steps forward, trying to intimidate Keanu with his size, but Keanu doesn't flinch. His posture remains unbroken, his gaze unwavering. "You don't want to get involved, man," the leader says, his voice low and threatening. "This doesn't concern you." Keanu remains silent, his hands relaxed at his sides. He's not trying to provoke them, but he's not backing down either. The other gang member, standing to the side, looks at the leader, then back at Keanu. "What's your deal?" he asks, his voice tinged with doubt. "You just gonna stand there?" Keanu doesn't answer. Instead, he steps forward slowly, but with a deliberate pace. His calmness contrasts sharply with the gang's growing unease. The elderly man watches, his heart still racing, unsure whether this will be the moment things turn violent. The leader, frustrated by the silence and Keanu's lack of reaction, pulls the knife from his pocket again, holding it up in front of him. "Back off," he warns, his voice rising. "I don't want to hurt you, but I will." Keanu's eyes flick to the blade for a moment, then back to the leader. The gang member holding the elderly man's arm tugs at him, trying to urge him to back away, but Keanu doesn't move. There's no fear, no hesitation. He just stands there, waiting, as if he's already read the situation and knows exactly what comes next. The gang doesn't know what to make of this. Every instinct tells them to act, to attack, but something about Keanu's presence is holding them back. His stillness, his calm, makes them second-guess their actions. For a brief moment, the street is silent, as the two sides stare each other down. The silence breaks when the leader makes the first move. He lunges toward Keanu, the knife gleaming in the fading light. But Keanu doesn't seem surprised. With a swift, fluid motion, he steps to the side, effortlessly dodging the strike. In the same motion, he grabs the leader's wrist, twisting it with controlled precision. The knife falls to the ground with a clatter. The leader stumbles, momentarily off balance. He glares at Keanu, his face twisted in frustration and anger. But before he can regain his footing, Keanu steps forward, using the leader's own momentum against him. With a quick, controlled push, the leader is sent sprawling to the ground, disarmed and dazed. The younger gang member, his eyes wide with fear, hesitates for a moment. This wasn't part of the plan. He watches as Keanu stands tall, calm as ever, the leader now groaning on the ground. The gang member's hand moves toward his own pocket, reaching for something, perhaps a weapon of his own. But Keanu is already on him, his movements too fast to follow. In a blur of motion, Keanu grabs the man's wrist before he can even pull out his weapon. With a sharp twist, Keanu forces him to the ground, pinning him with little effort. The younger man gasps, his breath quickening as he realizes just how outmatched he is. Keanu doesn't hurt him, but the grip is enough to make him understand that any attempt to resist would be futile. The last member of the gang, the one holding the elderly man, looks around, realizing the situation has shifted completely. He's seen his companions go down with almost no resistance, and the fear in his eyes is palpable. He pulls the elderly man closer, holding him as a shield, but Keanu's gaze never wavers. Keanu steps forward once again, this time slowly. The man holding the elderly man tenses, ready to lash out. "Stay back," he shouts, his voice trembling, but Keanu continues, unaffected, his focus solely on the robber. He's calm, even peaceful, but there's no question that he's in control. With a final movement, Keanu reaches out, gently but firmly taking hold of the man's arm. The robber tries to pull away, but Keanu holds him steady, guiding him to release the elderly man. The elderly man, still in shock, stumbles backward, free from the robber's grasp. The three gang members are now disarmed and subdued, on the ground, their will to fight gone. Keanu steps back, his hands resting by his sides, as the last robber slowly backs away. His face is pale, his breathing shallow. He looks at his companions, who are still recovering on the ground, and realizes that there's no point in continuing. This isn't a fight they can win. Keanu doesn't take his eyes off them as they start to retreat. He doesn't say a word, but his presence is enough. The gang members scatter, running off in different directions, not daring to challenge him further. The elderly man watches as they disappear into the distance, the tension slowly leaving the street. Keanu turns, walking away without a second glance, leaving behind a scene of calm where chaos had just unfolded. The last of the gang members stumbles backward, his eyes wide with panic. He casts one last, fearful glance at the others, who are already struggling to get to their feet. The leader groans, clutching his side, still stunned by Keanu's swift and precise moves. The younger man, still on the ground, looks at Keanu with a mix of fear and disbelief. The gang's confidence is shattered, replaced by a desperate realization they've lost. The final robber, who had been holding the elderly man as a shield, backs away slowly. His hands are raised, trembling, as though he's ready to run at any moment. He looks from Keanu to the others, his resolve crumbling. Without another word, he turns and breaks into a sprint, disappearing into the shadows of the alley. The others, still dazed, follow suit, running in every direction they can. They don't stop to look back. The gang, once confident in their plan, is now nothing more than a scattered group of fleeing criminals, their heads filled with confusion and fear. Keanu stands still for a moment, watching them disappear. The street slowly returns to its peaceful quiet, as if nothing had ever happened. The elderly man, still standing on shaky legs, watches the gang scatter. His heart is racing, but he's no longer in danger. His hands tremble as he clutches the edge of his jacket, trying to make sense of what just occurred. For a moment, he wonders if it was all some sort of strange dream. He never imagined someone would step in like that, let alone a man as calm and composed as Keanu. Keanu doesn't look back. Without saying a word, he turns, his figure disappearing down the street just as quietly as he appeared. The elderly man is left standing in the street, still in shock but safe, as the sounds of the city slowly return to normal. The elderly man stands still for a few moments, still trying to process what just happened. His mind races as he looks around the empty street. The gang is gone, vanished without a trace, and everything feels eerily calm again. His heart continues to beat fast, but the immediate danger has passed. He takes a deep breath, trying to steady himself, but his legs feel weak, as if the shock of the situation has drained all the strength from him. He glances at the spot where Keanu had stood just moments ago. The man who had come out of nowhere, who had saved him with nothing but calm determination. The elderly man's eyes scan the street, but Keanu is gone. It's as if he vanished into thin air. He couldn't have walked far, he wasn't in a hurry, but the man is nowhere to be seen. The elderly man feels a strange sense of gratitude, but also a lingering confusion. Who was that man? Why did he step in? He doesn't understand, but he knows one thing: he owes him his safety. His hand reaches up to touch his chest, feeling the rapid thump of his heart. His mind is still catching up to the fact that he was just moments away from being robbed, or worse, and now, he's fine. He looks down the street once more, his gaze searching the shadows for any sign of Keanu, but the street is empty, quiet, just like before. The elderly man shakes his head slowly, wondering if it had all been some strange, surreal experience. But one thing is clear: in a moment of danger, a hero appeared when he least expected it.